Hi, good morning, and welcome to the celebration space. I had a little connection issue there. We are good now, and I am so excited to talk to you on Thanksgiving Eve about how to vet and organize your charitable giving. So I've worked with nonprofits for most of my career, and that is something very near and dear to my heart. During this time, I talked about, if you are on the nonprofit side, the best way to ask for donations. That was an earlier video if you are curious to learn a little bit more about that. But if you are a donor and you are looking to donate some of your money or to continue a lot of really valuable work that's done in your communities and in our states and in our country, this is definitely the video for you, just to make sure that you kind of have some guidelines along the way. There are a couple, I want to upfront say that I got some of my sources and information from The Skimm, which is a news source that I've used since college. I'm one of their ambassadors, and it's a really great resource just to get quick news in the morning. But I wanted to start out just by giving them a little shout out, and also saying that while this is a great time to be giving to charitable donations in different foundations and 501c3s, this is also the time when there are a lot of scams. So I also want to start right up front talking about how to really be aware of different, organizations and how they might reach out to you. Most will reach out to you with either a physical mailer, probably less of that this year just with the economic state of things, or an email. If anyone is calling or texting you, please do not really go there or give any credit card information over the phone unless it is an organization that you are already dedicated to and that you're already aware of. So that is just a place to start. Also, I want to let you know that under the IRS, something that is really important and that I wasn't aware of is that GoFundMe or Kickstarter gifts normally go under donation or under gifts rather than donations. So if you are giving money to a family friend or a cause, which is definitely important work to do with everyone being in different situations during the global health crisis, please just be aware that that might not be a tax deductible write-off, and just to be aware of that. The IRS does have a calculator to figure all of that stuff out, so you can always go onto their website. And I also wanted to note that under the CARES Act from March, the stimulus bill, you can deduct donations from your tax bill up to $300, even if it's not itemized. So that's something that I'm not a tax advisor. I don't know a ton about that, but just keeping that in mind, that you can have up to $300 of giving this holiday season that you might want to do. Maybe you've done more of that historically, or you've done less of that historically, but just keeping that in mind under the CARES Act and what that looks like for your taxes as you're filing in 2021. So that is what I have for you. I wanted to talk about a couple of different websites that might be helpful for you to vet different organizations and also figure out which organizations may be most in line with the causes close to your heart. Maybe that is climate change, maybe that is homelessness, maybe that is education, maybe that is medical research, maybe that is, any of these different causes, animal causes, all of these different things there are hundreds, thousands of nonprofits, and I've worked with different ones across the board, but making sure that you are first of all going to a legitimate organization. So a lot of times the nonprofit sector of, let's say, a museum would be the museum name foundation. So you could give a straight donation to the museum, but if it's going to depend on your tax write-off and maybe looking up on the IRS website which one has the 501c3 designation and will be eligible for a tax deduction in the future. So just being conscious of that, where sometimes there are two different organizations that work in tandem. One is a 501c3, one is a for-profit organization. So keeping that in mind. Also checking out those websites that I mentioned earlier. One is called Charity Navigator. There is Charity Watch. GuideStar, and GiveWell. So those are all different places that you can really look to figure out what organizations might best fit your needs. These websites are also going to tell you a little bit more about how these organizations use your money. So a lot of organizations and nonprofits do have overhead costs and salaries that they need to pay, but a lot of them try to dedicate really big donors that have, they know up front that they are paying their larger, maybe tens of thousands of dollar donations to cover overhead and salaries. So a lot of times the best thing that you're going to want to look for are donations that will go straight to the causes that you want to support, or if it is an organization near and dear to your heart and you're okay with giving to overhead costs, that's something that you just want to know and be aware of from the get-go. So looking at those 4 different websites, I'll read them one more time and I'll link them below. Charity Navigator, Charity Watch, GuideStar, and GiveWell. And like I said, you really want to look up if they are a foundation or a 501c3, and you can also search on the IRS website just to make sure that you have a little bit more awareness of where that money is going. I also want to talk a little bit about some local options of things that you can do this year, especially if you're not getting together with family, or if you typically work in a homeless shelter or feeding the hungry during the holiday season. With social distancing guidelines, there are going to be different organizations, and normally Thanksgiving is one of the biggest days of volunteering. So just being aware and being really transparent, if you do normally go to an organization, giving them a call, seeing if there's a sign-up sheet. They're probably going to be limiting populations in social distancing. So there are other ways that you can contribute to charitable giving this holiday season. One of them is, of course, food shelters. That we have a record number of people that are relying on our food shelters right now, and they are struggling. So I have worked at food shelters in Atlanta and in Chicago, and one of the things that is really important is to give them a call and see if there's any types of food that they are looking for, and maybe going out and buying fresh, or just giving a cash donation. And by giving fresh, what I mean is, if you have a can of peas that has been in the back of your pantry for 4 years, normally people use donations as a way to clean out their homes. And a lot of times things like canned corn, you can end up having hundreds of cans of canned corn, but you don't have anything else really to put that with. I'm not saying that, the homeless, are going to be choosy about what they're receiving, but the homeless shelters do want to have a variety of different options, and especially for nutritional information, and for people that this might be their only meal of the day, their only meal that's really prepared for the week, making sure that they have variety for nutritional information. So calling to find out if they have specific cans that they need or that they want, or if just a straight cash donation is better, just so that they can go buy exactly what they want to maybe put together more of a Thanksgiving feast for the guests that they are serving. Also, blankets and linens can go to animal shelters. So if you have older towels or older sheets or different things, those are great things to be able to bring to an animal shelter, and really helpful so that those animals stay nice and cozy. A lot of animal shelters also will receive, if you maybe have a picky animal that didn't eat all of their food, or they have toys that they don't play with, really just passing it forward and bringing that to an animal shelter is something you can do locally today and take that their way. Also, donations to Goodwill. They also have a calculator for your tax deductibility, and I like Goodwill over some other really big donation retailers, because most Goodwills, and you need to check in with yours that is local, but most of them do recycle any unused clothing. So a lot of clothes end up in our landfills and don't end up being recycled, but a lot of Goodwills will recycle any unused cloth or clothing products, so that they aren't just going straight to the landfill if they don't sell at the Goodwill. So that's another place that if you are going through any of your clothes or any of your products, you might want to take them there, just because it's less likely that they'll end up in a landfill, and that they'll either go to a good home or they will be upcycled to something else. So that is what I have for you today. Really just doing your own research of how you're going to donate, how you're going to looking at the CARES Act and how that might apply to you in your charitable giving, plotting out ways that you can do that in your local community, and also just a couple notes on organization. I know that I just read that things don't have to be itemized for that $300 deduction under the CARES Act, but really just keeping a folder in your email. I talked about how to organize your email a little bit ago, and so taking a look at that video, maybe creating your own subfolder under a finances folder for tax deductible items, also taking screenshots or creating a physical folder, printing things out, or also creating something. I use a Google Drive folder. I'm having such a hard time saying the word folder, but really downloading things and making sure that they are all in one place so that once we come to that wonderful time of the year when we are all doing our taxes, that you have everything all in one place and you know where your money went, maybe how much of that $300 you used, or if you went over, just keeping track of everything and keeping it organized for when you are moving forward in that way. So I hope that everyone has a safe and blessed Thanksgiving. Please do not hesitate to give me any other recommendations of charitable giving, whether it's in your area or things that you like to do, maybe traditions that you have. And until next time, enjoy celebrating today.